Hey lovely sexy hobby people, welcome to today's video, which is going to be issue 8 of the Airfix Club magazine. Now I did issue 6 about 8 months ago, so I have absolutely no idea where issue 7's got to. I haven't received it, not a Scooby-Doo at all. What's happened to it? I have to say that the club magazine has been a bit hit and miss with being delivered. So yeah, I'm not overly impressed. I'm supposed to get 3 a year, I believe. Issue 6 arrived a few months into the year, along with the 2023 calendar. So their timing is shit, basically. Anyhow, coming in, we got obviously the contents page, and then we're into a article about the classic bug card that they did in 1/32 scale, and what they did to redo the clear plastic parts, because apparently they couldn't find the mould for it, or there was something wrong, seriously wrong with the mould, and how they came up with tooling a new mould, but essentially making it exactly the same as the old one. So that was a really interesting read. There's a competition here. Are you ready to win big? Deadline for this competition is April 2024, and you can find details of how to enter in the members area at airfix.com/club. Then there's another competition, again running until April 2024, again at airfix.com/club, and this time it looks like the prize is a 1/48 scale Sea King. Now, this was an interesting article about a convention that gets held for engineering, etc. It just talks about people that attended and some of the things that they were talking about. They had it says here, a large scale, full-size spit. So whether that's just a Spitfire or whether it's a plastic fiberglass kit, similar to what James May did, if you remember that time in the in his Toys of Yesteryear program that he used to do. Is it Toys of Yesteryear or something that he did? Right, then we have a really interesting article about the Ferret. Now, I know I've said before that the Ferret's my favourite kind of little armoured car, and it really is. I love it. I love the Ferret Mark II. This is a nice little article. It's got some great photographs of the real thing, and then obviously you've got each of the 3 versions there that you can make up from the kit. But there's a short interview with part of the team that brought it together. And again, more photographs here, up close photographs, etc. We then have a nice article about the RAF Sea Kings standing down. And I think it's a shame, you know, the yellow Sea King for the search and rescue was very much an iconic part of our coastal search and rescue, you know, along with RNLI, etc. And I think we've gone over to Merlin's, I believe, in a kind of red and white Coast Guard livery. I have seen Merlin's in the past. There was a red and white Merlin that did a casualty evacuation practice on a ferry that I was taking to France a little while ago. So You know, they're very much active now as the replacement for these iconic aircraft. This is just talking about their stand down and so on and so forth. We've got some photographs of one being dismantled and then taken away on a semi-trailer, which is quite sad really when you look at it. We then have an article about this particular distinctive coloured chipmunk, which was apparently for Prince Charles when he wanted to learn to fly, and it was basically done so that something could be activated which showed when the prince was flying, etc. But yeah, it was a really interesting article, really interesting read to find out what they did with that. And I think it makes a really interesting colour scheme if you wanted to do a conversion. There is something that you need to do externally to have it as the royal trainer. Yeah, that was a really interesting article again to read. We've got some great artwork. I'll do some proper rotated shots of that in a bit. Right, modelling techniques for weathering military vehicles. This was a really interesting read. Again, it's just going over some of the bits and pieces that you can use for weathering military vehicles. So like for adding mud and dust, highlights and dry brushing, chipping, washes, rust effects, etc. Really interesting. It just kind of gives you an overview of some of the things that you did. I still remember back in the late 80s, the best article I ever read regarding weathering techniques was in an early issue of the Tamiya magazine, when it explained what dry brushing was, what washes were, and you know, different ways that you use them on different coloured armour and stuff like that. That was a really interesting article. It's a shame I no longer have that magazine, but yeah, that was probably the best article I've ever read on weathering techniques. But this is a nice overview of some of the bits and pieces that they do. They've then got the Scottish National Show model kit here. So there's one with the household cavalry, kind of in a head bowed pose, obviously commemorating the passing of Elizabeth II. And then we've got some great finished kits here. So we've got a Wallace and Gromit van here, which is really cool. And we've got a 124 scale Hawker Typhoon. And then this Lancaster diorama down the bottom here. Really nice. Right, then we have a members gallery of model kits that members have done and submitted. So we've got a really nice Sea Harrier here. I mean, I'm saying Sea Harrier. It may not be, to be quite honest, because I'm only saying Sea Harrier because it's an overall low visibility grey colour scheme. I may be wrong. I think it's a Sea Harrier, but I could be wrong. We've got a Buccaneer, we've got a Vulcan, we've got either a Typhoon or Tempest there. We've got Harrier GR3 and a Pucara, which was from the Dogfight Doubles set, I believe. They released the Dogfight Doubles of the Harrier and the Pucara. Got another Typhoon Tempest here. a chippy, and a Saab. I think this is a Vigan. The J37 Vigan in a hanger, which is really nice actually, the way that that's been done. Then we have a conversation with Darren Harbar. It's just basically an interview. It's all about aviation photography and how he got into it. And then we have Aviation Photo Awards. So they're showing some of last year's entries here. That's a really nice one of a, I think that's a P51 and that's definitely a B17. Yeah, so really nice photographs there. And then we've got the Scout car. And just going back to the Vulcan, if I can find it again. There it is. And that's a lovely colour plate of a Vulcan. Now, whether this is depicting the Black Buck raids, I don't know, that took part in 1982 against Stanley Airfield after the Argentinian invasion. I don't know. I think it kind of hints at it with the explosion there. I think that was this was the only time that they were actually used in anger. The rest of the time it was very much training missions and the such. I could be wrong. Somebody wants to correct me. But yeah, that was Airfix Club magazine, issue number 8. No idea where issue 7 went, but I hope you enjoyed that and you'll join me in the next video. All right, take care. Bye bye.